So we teach our kids to swim because we don't want them to drown. Why don't we use the same approach when it comes to firearm safety? We're going to talk about it next.
But first, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there's no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. Gun owners should have coverage for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. And while you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year, with comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Guess what, folks? Gun Owner Radio listeners get a free T-shirt when you join. Use promo code Gun Owners Radio at uslawshield.com. All right, who you got for a special guest?
Well, when I was a kid growing up in the 80s, I was taught gun safety from a very early age. Although I was saying that of the 4 rules, I only remember learning 2. The treat every gun as if it's loaded, and don't point a gun at anything you're not willing to destroy. I don't think I learned the keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot, and the know your target and what's beyond until
I didn't know about those 2. I knew about the first 2. Yeah. I knew about the first 2.
But I think we've gotten pretty far away from teaching gun safety and hunter safety and any kind of firearms training.
Derek LeBlanc must have thought the same thing.
I think you're right. So he decided to start an organization called Kid S.A.F.E Foundation, S-A.F.E. So we have him on the line here to talk about it. Derek, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Thanks for coming on here. I think this is really interesting. Okay, so the organization is Kid S.A.F Foundation. What does SAFE stand for?
So the SAFE is an acronym for Safety Around Firearms Education.
Oh, cool.
So everything we do is about firearm safety, accident prevention, inside and outside of the home, also anti-bullying, all sorts of fun and relevant things when it comes to safety to our kids.
And you started the organization?
I did.
Wow, that's very cool. What's your background?
So my background, I became an NRA certified firearms instructor in 2014 after I was, put in a dangerous situation when I was unarmed. And basically, I found a guy inside of my vehicle. I fought with him on the ground for about 10 minutes until my girlfriend came out and saved me with a pistol grip shotgun in my driveway.
Holy cow.
And so from that point, I became a gun rights advocate, obviously because we're good people with a gun, that we stopped the threat without even firing a shot. And so I've used that to kind of educate and empower others. And, in the beginning of my career, I realized that I was exposing kids to a potential hazard inside the home. And so I started, looking at programs and, being from where I'm from, and, there's one, by the NRA, but I was concerned about how well received it'd be. And so I started developing my own.
Okay.
And so that was
let's go back to that incident. So there was a car he was in your car in your front yard?
Absolutely, yeah. So what had happened is I was going to work on a Sunday morning, and it's when we set the clocks ahead because of spring ahead.
Yeah.
And so what had happened? Typically, I live in West Eugene, which is it's a left of center area in Oregon.
Yeah.
And I normally take my gun out with me to clear my vehicle just in case. And on that morning, I left my gun.
Wait. Slow down. Okay, so that's a normal part of your day is to take your gun with you to make sure that your car is safe in Eugene, Oregon. Is that
Absolutely, yeah. And it's more of a insurance type thing. It's not like I'm ever expecting for it to happen, but I have that with me, typically. And it was that one day that I didn't. I left it on my kitchen counter, and that's when I needed it. And I remember vividly to this day as I left the threshold of my door, as I was going out to my vehicle to warm up my vehicle, that I thought to myself, I should really have my gun. And I thought, well, it's a Sunday morning. What's the worst that could happen? And so I hit my transponder. And as soon as I opened the door, I noticed there were some feet exiting the rear passenger window of my truck. So this guy was doing a little barrel dive out of the rear of my truck. So I ran around the hood of my truck. He was getting up, and he was pretending like he was a CSI. And he said, I noticed your window was broke out. I thought I'd check it out for you. I didn't fall for it. I immediately swept his leg.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, he was great until I got on top of him, and that's when the fight began. And, that was terrifying for me because I didn't know if he had a needle or a knife or any kind of weapon that could potentially harm me.
And he was just he was just some dirtbag who was trying to take change out of your car, whatever.
Absolutely. And what he had done is he had hit the whole neighborhood. and he just picked the wrong truck, and so we fought on the ground for 10 minutes, which seemed like an eternity, and all while I was yelling for my girlfriend at the time to get my gun. Luckily for me, the way I had taken him down and put him on the ground, I put him down hard, and I had what's called the full mount on him, so I had good control from the top, and so I was just kind of riding him and fighting with him, and punching him in the ribs.
Were you a high school wrestler?
No, it was more instinctive, really. It was just I automatically reacted, and the most terrifying part is once I put him on the ground, because I was like, now what? and so she finally came out with that pistol grip, with her cell phone and a pistol grip shotgun around the hood of the truck, and at that point he had given up, and she called 911. The cops came about 8 minutes later, so we're about 20 minutes into this whole ordeal, and nobody woke up.
Did you marry that girl?
Oh, no.
No, I was going to say, that would have been enough for me to propose right there.
Well, I told her we'll always have the internet, so.
Okay, so let me just run through real quick. So there's a couple lessons here. Number one, I learned that I thought Eugene was kind of this quiet little,
community.
This quiet little Eugene, Oregon's where isn't that where the Ducks? Isn't Eugene a college town?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a quiet little community, but you're clearing your car every morning. That's amazing, number one. Number two is that one time you left your house without your gun. I can't tell you. I've been carrying concealed for less than maybe about 3 years now. And I can't tell you how many times I was just going to step out and go to the store or something like that, run a quick errand. And I thought, you know what? This is going to be the time. Go back and get your gun, put it in the holster, do what you're supposed to do. So I think that was a pretty important lesson learned right there.
Absolutely. And that totally changed my life, changed, my mission for my life. And, as much as it was a traumatic experience for me, I really, I owe Sean, I forget his last name, but I owe him actually a debt of gratitude, because it's really kind of put me on a different path.
He set you on a path. Good for him.
Yeah.
Well, I hope he got his life together, and I hope that all worked out. So let's talk about that path. So you got experienced. You got you're a trained firearms instructor. But what triggered you? No pun intended. What triggered you to start the Kid S.A.F.E Foundation?
Well, it was early in my career. I was working with parents that were new to firearms, and so I was concerned about obviously them making a mistake and potentially one of their kids getting hurt inside the home. And so there was one program available by the NRA, but I was concerned about how well received it'd be in my area, and so I started doing some research and I started developing my own. And it took about 2 years of hard development, and we became a nonprofit in 2016. And we've reached about 22,000 kids in 5 states and taught them these life-saving skills.
Okay, so what exactly so you were saying that the NRA has a program. Were you talking about the Eddie Eagle program?
Yeah.
But I found that too. If you live in a, Oregon is, not the, I don't know. It's not exactly a red state. It's kind of a purple state. It's pretty blue in some areas, right?
Yeah.
So the NRA, there's a bit of a stigma. And I found that too in California. I don't know if the listeners in San Diego here know this or not, but California is a bit of a blue state. I found that the NRA. And I used to do a lot of volunteer work, and NRA is has a bit of a stigma, and it would stifle the good work that I was trying to do. So you're saying that hey, going and saying hey, I want to do this NRA program, that hindered you.
Yeah, and I think it's just because of that stigma. Obviously, I wanted to get quote unquote butts in the seats.
Right.
And if I was kind of advertising an NRA program, I felt like I would kind of limit my reach. I didn't want to reach just 5 kids. I wanted to reach 500 or 1,000.
And what exactly do you guys do? What exactly does Kid S.A.F.E Foundation do? What do you guys teach?
So, basically, it just depends on what class we're doing. But, if we're doing like a kids firearm safety 1 class, these are typically held in a local Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop or, any place that gives us access to children and be able to recruit people to come out from the community. But we're teaching them, obviously we're teaching, the 4 basic rules. We're teaching the parents about proper storage of the firearm when it's not on them. We're also talking about video games, video game violence. We're also talking about anti-bullying, and we're also teaching the kids about real firearms. And so I'm actually handling these guns. I'm showing them how they work. And you'd be surprised how many kids I meet at a young age that, they've gotten all the information about, an AR-15 from, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to do is kind of unpack their minds and say, hey, there's a cause and effect when it comes to our firearm if we're not careful. And, so then also I'm reaching to the parents and talking to them about online safety, which, the last year and a half, 2 years where everything's been online, there's another avenue for, predators to reach these kids. So everything's about, the safety of the kids and, giving the parents good information that they can, implement inside their homes.
Well, the Call of Duty thing, kids, I've noticed there's a whole, the generation, I'm 45, the generation behind me, their exposure to firearms is, video games, computer games.
Yep.
And it's kind of good and bad, right? I mean, it's good that they're being exposed to the culture. It's bad because it's just not the best source of information. It's certainly not the best use of a firearm. But I think what you're doing is you're taking that and harnessing it and, pointing it in the right direction. What's the reaction been from people in general?
It's been overwhelmingly successful just because of the way we're able to present the message, and it's an apolitical one. We don't care if they have guns or don't like guns or are afraid of guns. We can't be naive and think that our kids can't come in contact somewhere. In urban environments, there's kids that come in contact with a firearm that's disposed of because of a criminal. And so, they're still going to have access to the firearm. So it's our goal is to have a very easy, common sense, conversation about the safety and what those kids are supposed to do if they come across that gun, and I think, as our message continues to grow and we reach more kids, that's going to drive those numbers down. Right now it's, before the COVID, it was, 8 to 9 kids per day across the country are shot with a firearm. And that's from the CDC.
I'm talking Deborah McNeil.
That's way too much. That's way too much.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to fix.
Okay, great. This is a really interesting conversation with Derek LeBlanc from Kid S.A.F.E Foundation. Hang out with us, Derek. We're going to go to the commercial and then come back.
Blackout Optics, accurate, affordable, guaranteed, sporting optics that go the distance. Backed by customer service that goes that extra mile. Great guys, great products, and a great company that is making optics affordable. On top of quality optics, they pay close attention to the customer experience. Did you know their scopes come with mounts? So you don't have to worry about finding out one that fits. We are so excited to have them on as official partner of the show. Ask for them at your local gun store or find them online at blackhoundoptics.com.
All right, we're talking to Derek LeBlanc. Sorry, I keep messing that up. From Kid S.A.F.E Foundation. Kid S.A.F.E Foundation. When you guys teach kids gun safety, you've been around since, I think you said 2015, 2016?
2016, yes.
2016, and you've taught how many kids in that time?
22,000.
Holy cow.
States. Yeah, and another thing that's kind of unique about us is we actually teach them on the range as well. And so we follow up our number 1 class with the number 2, and we get to fire, rim fires. So that one's a lot of fun.
Wow. Okay, so you're in Oregon.
Yeah.
Are the 22,000 kids, are these 22,000 kids in Oregon, or what? How does it work? How does a kid learn from Kid S.A.F.E Foundation?
So basically it's everything on the West Coast. So Washington, Oregon, California. We just got back from Hawaii about a month ago, and we've been in Arizona as well. So basically wherever I go for a conference, I set up and do a class, and we reach the kids of those communities.
So a community, a group or whatever, they say, hey, we want this class, and then you schedule it and come out and deliver the curriculum?
Yeah. Typically wherever there's a Bass Pro Shops or a Cabela's, I'm a pro staffer for them. So that's typically where we're going to hold our classes that are out of state.
Okay. Have you done one up in what's the Cabela? Is it a Bass Pro or a Cabela's up like the 10 and the 15?
Yeah, I know the one you're thinking.
Is that
of.
Ontario?
I can't think of the town now.
I don't remember what it is. Have you done much in Southern California?
No, we've been in Northern California. We've been near Anderson. We do a boat and sportsman show there every year. and that's in Northern California. What's interesting to me is you have a lot of guns in California.
A lot.
And you have a lot of guns that parents don't talk to their kids about, and so when we're down there, the parents are really thankful for the education, but they don't think about it because every gun that they potentially own is illegal because of a pen stroke. And so it's interesting it's kind of a different culture down there.
So what's the plan? Like what's the ultimate result that you're looking for? We teach 22,000 kids about gun safety, about safely using a gun, the function and purpose, that sort of thing. What do you hope will happen with those 22,000 kids?
Well, those 22,000 kids, we're hoping that will have long, happy, successful lives. And they're going to tell their friends, and they're going to protect their kids or their friends because they're not going to want to show their friends their parents' guns, like show and tell. That's how a lot of kids are hurt. And, I did write legislation in 2019 that would have authorized our program in all the public schools for first graders here in Oregon. So the goal would be to, expand to Washington, Hawaii, Missouri, any place where we can do it, through statute, where we can introduce what we're doing to reach those kids and do it that way legislatively.
So what's 22,000 kids? That's amazing. It's a fantastic goal. I'm so glad you guys exist. What's the success story?
So a success story, obviously, there's a lot that are not published, because they are kind of sensitive. But, one that really sticks in my mind is, when it comes to, talks about our anti-bullying component of our program is there was a kid, I taught a class a year and a half ago or so to some Cub Scouts. There's about 41 Cub Scouts in that class. And about a month went by, and I got an email from one of the mothers. And, in this part of our program, we're talking, if they're ever, bullied, we're teaching them, how they de-escalate that situation, how they get a parent involved. Well, anyways, this young child was threatened by a bully at school to bring a gun to take care of him. And luckily he remembered our training, got his mom involved. She called, law enforcement, and they actually stopped a school bus on the way to school, and there was a gun in the backpack. And, that was at a middle school about 15 minutes away from my house. So it's something like that never hits the paper, but it's something that, everybody involved, like the parents that, had kids on that bus, they all know. And it was pretty traumatic for a lot of them, but it was proof that, proper education can save lives. And so that's why we have to have these conversations.
This kid was bringing a gun to school because he was afraid of a bully. Is that, did I hear that right?
No, it was actually the bully that was bringing a gun to shoot the kid that was being bullied.
Oh my gosh!
And
I hope this kid
so
got the help he needs.
Yeah, me too.
Good
too. And
Lord.
It's a really scary, but it's a really important reminder about proper storage. If the parents properly store their firearms, and I don't think we should have more laws saying that we have to secure our guns, but I think we should, make it a better habit of securing our guns when they're not on us.
Common sense.
The likelihood of that happening.
Common sense. Yeah.
Hey, Derek, I'd like to back up a second. You said you helped write legislation to get your program introduced in schools in the first grade. Did I hear that? Yeah. Did that legislation actually get passed, and they're doing that now up there?
No, we got a public hearing. So in 2019, there was about 37 anti-gun bills here in Oregon. And so there was, one monstrosity of a bill, and then there was our bill. We got a public hearing, which what we did there is, we learned a lot from the process. We were able to, get the other side, on the record, and we opened up a national dialogue when it comes to the safety of our kids. And the bill that I wrote on an iPad in a coffee shop on a Sunday. And basically it was so simple. It was so easy, it was turnkey. And it was something I put a lot of time and effort and thought into penning. And it was just one page. And that's, we don't need 2,500 pages in these bills.
2,700, I think, is the key.
Average. Is that the average?
Yeah, well, 2,700,
2,700?
then they can pass it without reading it. So that's the way to go.
Oh, yeah.
But are you guys going to keep going with that, Derek, or is that
Absolutely.
stopped? Outstanding, because that's what we need. We need more of that in the schools, or we need some of it in the school. We don't have anything now.
Well, that's the plan is just to give the schools options when it comes to the safety of the kids. And what you've been talking about, we're talking about water safety. I modeled this program similar to water safety because we teach every kid in the country how to swim. And that's the same principle behind our firearm safety program. It's education for every kid. And I mean, we're talking about Latin kids, we're talking about Russian kids, Japanese, Chinese, kids that, speak with American Sign, education for every child.
So what's been the biggest challenge?
Probably the biggest challenge is probably the funding. Obviously being a nonprofit, it's definitely challenging. And, so we have some great sponsors that have helped out along the way, but, to get to that next level, obviously we need help from the community and the firearms community. So I'm hoping in the next, within the next year or so, we'll be able to go national with our program. We're in the final, legal part with trademarking and copywriting, all that jazz, but we're getting so close.
Interesting. So what do you guys do for fundraising or more accurately, how can people help?
Well, you can like, comment, or share our page on social media. You can find us on our website. There's a way to donate there. You also can find out about the stuff that we're doing. And you can also, we have some pretty good blog posts there that kind of talk about different things to think about when it comes to the safety of your kids. And we're always looking for, big sponsors that can kind of help us share our message.
So you're in year 5, I think, right?
Yep.
What's been the most surprising thing that's happened or about your journey since you started?
I think the most surprising thing for me is to see these kids, and when I do different events and they come back every year and just watching their growth and how they still remember what they've learned because of the way they enjoyed the class and the way we're able to engage with them when we're doing different events in public. And knowing that, education, if done properly, it will do more than any kind of law when it comes to restriction. And so we should be focusing as a society about, proper education as opposed to more restriction.
So I don't know if I've talked to a lot of people that have taught 22,000 kids in 5 years.
Or just been around 22,000 kids.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids.
Mind my asking how old a guy you are?
I'm 44.
Okay, so we're the same age. We both grew up in the 80s, and I'm sure watched Red Dawn.
Probably likes Red Dawn.
Likes Red Dawn, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see?
So what's the biggest difference between the 22,000 kids you've taught in the past 4, 5, 6 years and kids growing up in the 70s and 80s?
I think we've kind of softened as a society, and the reason I do what I do is because I'm concerned about the Republic, and I feel that the future of the Republic does depend on our children, and that's why I think it's important that we reach them at a young age and teach facts over fear. Right now, fear is being driven by the media, stuff that is not necessarily the truth is being misrepresented as the truth, and so it becomes truth. And that's kind of as the gun community, we have to do better when it comes to kind of countering these half truths and showing the proper way to do things. And I think with what we're trying to do with the kids is obviously get them involved at a young age, teach them about safety, discipline, and respect for firearms, and so the likelihood of something tragic happening, they're diminished quite a bit if done properly.
Is there something that this generation does better than the previous generation? Is there something you see in these 22,000 kids that you think, man, that's actually better than 1980?
Well, I think the way they are able to access information, they have information coming at them so fast because of technology. That's something. Our generation is, we're learning, but these kids are learning at 5 and 6 and 7 years old, and they're kind of, light years ahead of us. And so I think it's important as gun owners and as the gun communities, we're using that same technology to our advantage to reach the kids and do it in an effective way where we can, get them into, our kind of our basket when it comes to the 2A community.
Interesting. All right. So how do people find you? Tell us a little bit about it. Tell us what your website is And then tell us what you want them to look at when they go to your website.
Okay, so you can find us on our website, kidsafefoundation.org. There's actually 2 S's in there. It's KIDSSAFE foundation.org. And you can just check out our blog, check out, some of our success stories there on the website. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok as well.
All right, buddy. Hey, it's been a great interview. Thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you down the road, see how things are going. And if you ever get out this way, we've got a great gun prom coming up in a couple of months. That ought to be something you'd be involved in.
There you go, October 16th. Yeah. If you can make check out gunprom.com. If you can make it, you get a free ticket, man.
Sounds good. I'll check it out.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.